Ever wondered how to build a contact form that actually works? One that shows real-time error messages, confirms successful submissions, and even stores your data in a MongoDB database? That's exactly what we'll be doing in this video. From handling success and error messages to saving the form data in the backend, I'll walk you through it all step by step. So, let's get started. Okay, let's kick things off by setting up our Next.js project and creating database. For installation of Next.js, run the command npx create next app at latest / and hit the default options like here we are using ESLint, Tailwind CSS app router, and for remaining, we have hit no option. Then run npm run dev. And installation of Next.js is done. You can visit the localhost 3000. Moving ahead, run the command npm mongoose for installation of all the packages for the MongoDB project. And we are done with our installation process. It's very simple and easy. After it's done, you can check package.json file in your project that it have installed the dependencies of Mongoose. Moving ahead, search for MongoDB Atlas and create a free account. You will find a screen something like this. You may not have any projects yet, but let us create a new project now. Click on New Project option. Name your project of your choice and hit Next. We won't be adding any members, so directly hit on Create Project. And after you'll find something like this, hit on Create option here. We will be going ahead with the free plan. Select the free plan and hit the option Create Development. Keep the remaining setting as default only. After that, you'll receive your username and password. Copy your password first as we need it, and we have to paste it in our project. For that, create a file in your root directory and name it .env. You can simply paste the password here for further use. Then click Create Database User option. And close this. Going ahead, click on Quick Start option on your dashboard here. You will find this screen. Navigate down and write this IP address so that we can access this database from anywhere. And hit on Add Entry option here, and you can see it down added. Then hit Finish and Close. And go to Overview. And we are almost done. But before that, click here on Connect option, as we have to connect it for VS Code. Select the VS Code option. And copy this URL. And in the .env file, write mongo_URI, and paste this URL and paste your password there, and at the end write a name for your database. We've successfully connected MongoDB to VS Code. Now let us begin with styling our contact form. We won't be much focusing on the UI, as we are mainly focused on the backend. So, we'll be keeping the UI very simple. After we are done with the connection, let us start our app by running npm run dev and visit the localhost 3000. This is just a Next.js template, and now we'll design our form. Heading back to VS Code, navigate to Page File in the app folder. And you can see the sample code. Let us first clear this up, and keep a simple div. Then in the global.css file, clear all the code, keeping only the imports. And you can see the changes are shown here. Next, rename your page file from JS to JSX. Then, create a folder named Components in the root directory of your project. And in the Components folder, create a file contact form and keep the extension as JSX. Then run our AFCE to get the arrow function. And now this is our contact form component. Let us import this component in the page file for it to be visible in the project. Write the name of the component. And you can see it have imported the directory here, and we don't need the import of image. Navigating to localhost, we have successfully imported the contact form component. Here I have added some extra text in the page file and given it some basic styling. And we have our contact form components below it imported. You can see it here side by side. And now let us begin with the form. Here I have the basic form code with label and input for full name, email, and a message section with placeholders, keeping it simple. You can also use your own UI for it. Now let us save it, and the changes will reflect here as we have imported this form component in the page file. Let us also create a simple button at the end for the submission. And we'll also have a div for error message. to check if the form is correctly filled by the user. This will be our error and success message part. For the styling, we'll give the form a class name having padding, margin, border, flex, and a gap of 5. Let's work with global CSS file so that we can use the same styling all over. We'll give simple styling for the div, the input, and text area. And we'll save it, and the CSS will be applied to the form because we have given these properties as class name to the form. Here, let us increase the text area by giving it class name of height of 32. And save the changes. And you can see it here. And let us also style the send button by giving it class name of BG green, padding of 3, text white, and font bold. Save the changes. Also, we'll give some styling to the error message. We have to work further on error message. For now, we are keeping it just a red color, and we are done with the UI of the form. Now, we'll be working on the logic of the form. While working on the functionality, first thing we need to do is get all the details from these input fields. So we need to create empty states for each of these input fields, and in the fields we will store the details. Here we have created states for full name, email, and message. We have to also import useState from React. This form is a client component, so we have to write useClient on top. Now, when we make changes to these input fields, we need to send the data to these states. So you have used onChange property that will store the name in full name state here. And we have set the value equal to full name for input field. Similarly, for the input field of email, we'll set the target as set email with value equal to email. For all these, we are using arrow function. Same thing will repeat for message section. OnChange, set message and value as message. We are done with the input fields. Now let's create a function to handle the form submit. Now let us create a sync function. We'll write const handle submit. We have used prevent default property for the default reload of the browser. And we will print the name, email, and message after the data is entered by user. Finally, we'll use the onSubmit property and set it equal to handle submit. Now, let's check whether the data is actually being added to the states. I have opened the console window side by side to check the data when hit send button. Let's fill the full name email and a message. After hitting the send button, we can see in the console window that we have received the data. We have successfully implemented the backend logic. We'll continue building the backend for our contact form. We'll focus on setting up the routes, handling post requests, and making sure our form data is properly sent to the database. Let's dive straight in and complete the backend setup. Firstly, create a folder names API in your app folder. In it, create contact folder, and in that, create route.js file. The file structure should look like this. And here we can write the code for the backend. First of all, let's go back to contact form. And here we will use fetch API. Now here, we're using the fetch API to send a post request to our /API/contact route. The form data, name, email, and message is converted into a JSON string using JSON to stringify before being sent in the request body. We also set the content type to application/JSON so the backend knows to expect JSON data. After the request, we use a wait response to parse the response from the server, and we're destructuring it to get the message value, which usually contains a success or error message from the backend. And for that, we have to create a state for the message. Creating a state for error message. After that, navigate down and write set error message. Well, now let's go to our route file, and in this part of the code, we are creating a post route. This means we're setting up a function that will handle form data sent from the front end. We use export async function post request to define this function. And we extract the user's full name, email, and message. And then we'll copy these console log from contact form file and paste it in our route. Then return next response, and you can see it got here imported. Here we will be passing our message in block brackets, hi from route.js file, and save the changes. Next we have to do console.log in the contact form file. So let us test if it is working fine. And here in the console window, you can see the message being printed from our route file, so everything is working fine. Now, let us connect our form to our database so that we can actually access the data which is being sent. For that, in your app folder, create a lib folder and in it create MongoDB.js file. This code connects our app to MongoDB using Mongoose. We first import Mongoose, then define an async function connectDB. Inside, we check if there's no active connection with ready state triple equal to 0. If true, we connect using the MongoDB URI from our .env file. If something goes wrong, the catch block logs the error. In the end, we export connectDB so we can use it wherever needed. Next, we have to create a model. For that, in app folder, create models folder. In it, create contact.js file. Following this structure, this code sets up a Mongoose model to store contact form data in MongoDB. First, it imports Mongoose and schema. Then, it defines a contact schema that includes 4 fields: full name, email, message, and date. At the end, the code checks if the model already exists to avoid errors during development, and then exports the contact model. Next, we'll be adding a try and catch block here. This try-catch block handles the contact form submission. It first connects to MongoDB and saves the full name, email, and message using contact create. If successful, it sends a success message. If there's a Mongoose validation error, like missing or invalid input, it collects and returns detailed error messages. For any other errors, it sends a general failure message. Now let us fill data on our form and check if data is being sent to database. Then navigate to your cluster, click on Browse Collection, and you can see that we have our data here. It's totally working fine. But we also have to work on error and success message. In this part, we will be working on the error and success messages. For now, in our contact form.jsx, we already have error state. Now, we have also created success state. Navigate down. Let's turn this simple button into a dynamic message box that shows feedback to the user, either success or error, on the screen. It first checks if there's an error array. If yes, it loops through each message using map function. For each message, it creates a div with a unique key. The text color changes based on the success value. If it's true, the message appears in green. If not, it appears in red. Then navigate top. After the form is submitted, we get a response from the server that includes a message and a success status. The message is saved to show feedback to the user, and the success state tells us whether the form was submitted correctly or not. If it was successful, we clear the form field so the user knows the message was sent and the form is ready for a new entry. Now let us test our form, and if I simply click Send button, it throws error. Or if I just enter name, it will tell me about email and message is important, and if we exceed the name characters, it throws error. So if you like the video, do hit the like button and subscribe to Innovative Stack.